Welcome to Rare Coins Numismatics, where every coin tells a story. We're exploring some rare and valuable Kennedy half dollars, iconic pieces that capture American history and are prized by collectors worldwide. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know which ones to look out for in your own collection. Let's begin with a coin that many people recognize, yet few truly notice, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar. You've probably seen one before, maybe in your change, tucked away in an old drawer, or passed down in a dusty coin collection from a family member. It's big, it's bold, and it bears a familiar face. But what if I told you that one of these coins, struck over 50 years ago, long after the novelty wore off, once sold for more than a brand new car? Let's step back for a moment. In November of 1963, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy sent shockwaves through the nation. The country was grieving, deeply and collectively. In response, the U.S. Mint moved with remarkable speed. Within months, the decision was made: Kennedy would be honored not with a monument, but with something far more personal, a coin that would pass through the hands of everyday Americans. By 1964, the first Kennedy half dollar was introduced. The demand was immediate. These weren't just coins. They were symbols. Americans didn't just spend them, they kept them. They were tokens of remembrance, of respect, of loss. And for a while, they were special. Made of 90% silver, the 1964 issue had both sentimental and tangible value. But things changed. Fast forward to 1972. The Kennedy half dollar was still being struck, but the composition had shifted. No more silver. These coins were now copper-nickel clad, designed more for durability than beauty. While they still had that impressive size, over 30 millimeters in diameter, they lacked the luster, the weight, and frankly, the prestige of their silver predecessors. They were workhorses. Made to move. And they did. In 1972 alone, the Philadelphia Mint, producing coins without any mint mark, struck over 153 million Kennedy half dollars. That kind of number suggests mass production on a massive scale. And with mass production comes compromise. The U.S. Mint, under pressure to meet demand, used worn dies, and coins were struck quickly. The result? Many 1972 Kennedy half dollars are softly struck, with weak details and flat reliefs. Kennedy's hair often appears blurred. The eagle on the reverse lacks the crisp, proud definition it deserves. These weren't made for collectors, they were made for circulation. For pocket change. So, finding one of these coins in average shape? Easy. Finding one in near perfect condition? That's something else entirely. A coin that still gleams with its original mint luster, that shows no signs of wear, no contact marks, no scratches, one that could pass for freshly struck. That's not just rare, that's extraordinary. And then there's the intrigue of the varieties, like the 1972 No FG reverse. Normally, the initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo, the reverse designer, appear between the eagle's right leg and tail feathers. But due to over-polished dies, some coins were struck with these initials missing entirely. That tiny omission. It can add hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars in value, especially when paired with a flawless surface. So what happens when all the stars align, when a 1972 Kennedy half dollar is found that's not only a rare variety but in exceptional condition, virtually untouched, sharp in strike, full of detail, with flawless fields and perfect surfaces? That's when things get exciting. The coin in question had all of that, and more. It had been preserved perfectly, possibly pulled straight from a bankroll in 1972 and tucked away, untouched by time, air, or handling. It retained its full copper-nickel brilliance, with no discoloration, no toning, no wear. When submitted to a top-tier grading service, like PCGS or NGC, it came back with one of the highest grades ever awarded for this date and mint. That grade doesn't just describe condition. It defines rarity. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity drives demand. Word spread. Collectors, investors, even institutions took notice. This wasn't just another Kennedy half-dollar. This was a register-level coin, a showpiece that could anchor a collection or stand as a centerpiece in a national exhibit. When the coin hit the auction block, the competition was fierce. This wasn't casual. It wasn't hobbyist level. These were serious bidders. Professionals. Private collectors with deep pockets and a sharp eye for opportunity. The bidding war was intense. And when the final gavel fell, $93,000. That's right. $93,000. For a coin that, on the surface, looks just like the one in your spare change jar. So the next time you see a Kennedy half-dollar, don't just glance at it. Look closer. Because in the world of numismatics, the ordinary can still become extraordinary. Let's move on to a coin that most people have seen, but few have truly appreciated, the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar. To the casual eye, it's just another coin from the late 70s. No silver, no dramatic errors, no mysterious backstory, just another half-dollar. Or is it? What if I told you that one of these coins, struck in 1979 and bearing a modest face value of 50 cents, went on to sell for an incredible $85,000? Let's unpack how that happened. The Kennedy half-dollar series had already been in production for over a decade by the time 1979 rolled around. First introduced in 1964, the coin was designed as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy following his assassination in November 1963. The nation's grief was still fresh, and the introduction of this coin was meant to offer something permanent, a national remembrance in every American's pocket. Originally, the Kennedy half-dollar was minted in 90% silver. That made it not just a tribute, but a valuable piece of metal in itself. But as silver prices rose and inflation took hold, the U.S. Mint began phasing out silver content from circulating coins. By the time we get to 1971, the Kennedy half-dollar had transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition, the same we see in the 1979 version. So what makes the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar stand out? After all, over 87 million coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone that year. Add to that the Denver Mint's output and the San Francisco proof issues, and you're looking at hundreds of millions of coins. Surely a coin that common can't be rare, right? Well, here's where the story gets interesting. The vast majority of these coins were mass-produced for circulation. They were quickly struck, tossed into banks, used in vending machines, casinos, and for years, overlooked. But there's always a catch in the world of coin collecting. Because when so many coins are made, the quality often suffers. Weak strikes. Misaligned dies. Surface nicks. Blurry details. These were the norm, not the exception, especially for circulation strikes. Now imagine coming across a 1979 Kennedy half-dollar that breaks the trend, a coin that somehow avoided circulation, retained full mint luster, shows perfect strike detail, and looks as fresh as the day it was minted. These examples are exceedingly rare. And that's exactly what happened with one extraordinary 1979 half-dollar. Before we get to that incredible example, let's break down the design. The obverse of the coin features President John F. Kennedy in a left-facing portrait, a design by Gilroy Roberts. It's the same powerful profile introduced in 1964, representing not just a man but a moment in American history. The date, 1979, sits boldly at the bottom, with "Liberty" arching around the top and "In God We Trust" to the left. If you look just below Kennedy's neckline, you'll find the mint mark, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. The reverse is equally iconic, designed by Frank Gasparo. It features the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, surrounded by 50 stars and the words "United States of America" and "half-dollar." It's one of the most patriotic coin designs in U.S. history, bold, detailed, and unmistakably American. Now, in 1979, there were no dramatic design changes, no experimental metal compositions, and no controversial features. But what makes the coin valuable isn't always what's visible at a glance, it's what sets it apart from the millions of others like it. That brings us to the standout 1979 Kennedy half-dollar. A collector discovered it in what appeared to be untouched condition. It had been stored carefully, never exposed to circulation, and possibly preserved in original mint packaging or rolls. When submitted for grading, the coin received an exceptionally high mint state grade, MS 68, a near-perfect score for a coin of this type and age. To put that into perspective, most 1979 Kennedy half-dollars, even if well kept, top out at MS 64 or MS 65. Anything above that is rare. MS 67 is extremely rare. But MS 68? That's the kind of condition that puts a coin into elite territory. It becomes not just collectible, it becomes investable. This particular coin showed deep, original luster. No contact marks. Sharp details, especially in Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers, areas that often suffer from weak striking. It was, in every sense, a premium example. Naturally, a coin like this doesn't go unnoticed. When it went up for auction, collectors knew exactly what they were looking at. This wasn't just another 1979 half-dollar. It was a top population coin, meaning one of the very few, possibly the only one, known in such superb condition. That kind of rarity creates competition. And that competition drives the price sky high. As bidding opened, the interest was immediate and intense. This wasn't about silver content or historical errors. It was about condition, scarcity at the highest grade, and the prestige of owning the very best. And when the auction concluded, the final sale price left everyone stunned. The coin sold for a jaw-dropping $85,000. Next up is a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance to, a coin that, on the surface, seems too modern to be worth anything more than its 50-cent face value. But the 1982 Kennedy half-dollar with the Denver Mint mark has a story that takes a sharp turn if you know what to look for. In 1982, the United States Mint was going through changes, both in how coins were produced and how they were being circulated. This was a time when the Kennedy half-dollar had already started to fall out of everyday use. People weren't spending them like they used to. They were big, bulky, and not as convenient as quarters or dollar bills. Because of that, half-dollars weren't as commonly seen in circulation, and fewer people paid attention to them. But even with lower demand, the mint continued to produce Kennedy half-dollars. In 1982, the coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with Denver's coins marked by a small D just below Kennedy's neckline on the obverse. But there was something unusual about this year, and it's one detail that elevates the 1982 D half-dollar far above the rest. It all comes down to how the mint produced the coins that year. For the first time in decades, the U.S. Mint did not issue mint sets, those annual collector sets of uncirculated coins. Instead, the only way to get uncirculated 1982 coins was either through direct bank rolls or by pulling them from circulation early. What that meant for collectors is simple: finding pristine 1982 half-dollars in high grade became extremely difficult. Most of the 1982 D Kennedy half-dollars that made it into circulation were handled, stored loosely, or spent. They quickly developed contact marks, lost their luster, and wore down in pockets, registers, or rolls. Over time, this year became a headache for collectors looking for high-grade examples. And because no mint sets were available, there was no protected source of untouched coins. Design-wise, the coin remains classic. The obverse features the left-facing profile of President John F. Kennedy, modeled by Gilroy Roberts. It's the same dignified image that's graced the half-dollar since 1964. On the reverse, you'll find the presidential seal, an eagle with a shield, arrows in one talon, and an olive branch in the other, designed by Frank Gasparo. The detail in the eagle's feathers, the rays of the sun behind it, and the ring of stars around it, all of these are areas where quality matters, especially under magnification. But here's where the story of the 1982 D coin gets truly interesting. Out of all the millions of 1982 D Kennedy half-dollar struck, over 10.8 million, to be precise, only a very small number have been found in superb condition. And we're talking about coins graded MS 67 or higher, those that show full mint luster, no significant marks, and strong strike details. These coins are extremely rare. The reason is simple: without mint sets, collectors never had a chance to get these coins straight from the mint in protected packaging. They had to hunt through circulated rolls, bank bags, or even pocket change, and that's not where you typically find pristine specimens. So now, decades later, collectors and grading services have realized just how tough this coin is to find in top condition. And when that kind of rarity meets demand, the price begins to climb. One specific 1982 D. Kennedy half-dollar stood out among the rest. It had all the right qualities: bright, original luster, sharp details, and no distracting marks. It was submitted to a top grading service, and when the results came back, it had earned an extremely high mint state grade, placing it among the best-known examples of this coin in existence. Once certified, it didn't take long before serious collectors and investors started paying attention. For a coin like this, there are no casual buyers. These are the coins that fill holes in top-tier sets where only the best of the best are accepted. When the coin hit the auction floor, bidding quickly grew competitive. What started as a 50-cent coin, literally, was now being chased by collectors across the country. They knew exactly how rare this coin was in such superb condition. And when the final bid was cast, the auctioneer brought the gavel down on a final sale price of an incredible $79,000. Yes, $79,000 for a 1982 half-dollar with a tiny D under Kennedy's neck. That's not an error coin. That's not a rare composition. It's just an extremely high-grade example of a coin that millions of people ignored. It's a perfect reminder that timing, condition, and history can take a simple, everyday coin and turn it into a collector's dream. The 1982 D. Kennedy half-dollar shows us that even modern coins, those without silver, gold, or dramatic minting mistakes, can become incredibly valuable when the right conditions come together. Up next, we're diving deep into a coin that might seem unassuming at first glance but has quietly risen to become a prized possession among serious collectors: the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar with the Denver Mint mark. If you're like most people, when you think of coins from the late 1990s, you probably imagine everyday pocket change, coins that come and go without much thought. But this particular 1998 D. Kennedy half-dollar tells a different story, a story of rarity, preservation, and the surprising value that can lie beneath a seemingly ordinary surface. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a heartfelt tribute to the late President John F. Kennedy, who was tragically assassinated in 1963. It quickly became one of the most iconic coins in American history, with Kennedy's dignified profile on the obverse side and the presidential seal boldly displayed on the reverse. Over the years, the design has remained remarkably consistent, serving as a timeless reminder of an era, a president, and a nation's respect. But by the late 1990s, the half-dollar had a very different role in the economy. Unlike earlier decades when these coins circulated widely, by 1998, the half-dollar had largely faded from everyday use. It was no longer a coin you'd commonly find in your pocket or loose change jar. Instead, these coins were primarily minted for collectors, special coin sets, and promotional purposes. And that's where the story gets interesting. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar coins struck at the Denver Mint are distinguished by a small but important D mint mark, located just beneath Kennedy's neck on the obverse side. It's a subtle detail that might easily be overlooked by casual observers, but among collectors, that D carries weight. It tells us exactly where this coin was produced, and sometimes, it can mean the difference between common and rare. That year, the Denver Mint produced millions of these half-dollars, flooding the market with what seemed to be an ordinary coin. Most of them ended up in circulation, used in everyday transactions, or stashed away without much care, leading to inevitable wear and tear. Over time, exposure to air, handling, and the elements dulls the coin's original luster and sharpness. But here's the catch: a very small number of these coins never saw the harsh realities of circulation. Instead, they were preserved with incredible care, tucked away in protective holders, stored in climate-controlled environments, and handled only with gloves. These rare survivors still look as if they just came off the minting press, despite being over 2 decades old. When you hold one of these pristine 1998 D. Kennedy half dollars, you immediately notice the details. Kennedy's hair is sharply defined, each curl visible and crisp. The eagle's wings on the reverse are etched with intricate feathers that catch the light. The coin's fields, the smooth, flat areas, are free from scratches, nicks, or blemishes. And the luster? It's alive and vibrant, shimmering with that distinctive glow that only a perfectly preserved coin can possess. In the numismatic world, condition is king. Coins are graded on a scale that measures everything from wear to surface quality. While many coins from the 1990s are common in circulated condition, uncirculated examples graded at the highest mint state levels are extremely rare. These coins become highly sought after by collectors who want the very best examples to complete their collections, and by investors who recognize their potential for appreciation over time. The 1998 Kennedy half dollar also represents a unique snapshot in U.S. coinage history. It sits at the crossroads between an era when half dollars were everyday currency and the modern age, when their primary value lies in their design, condition, and collectability. It's a tangible piece of the transition from common circulation to collectible treasure. Now, you might be wondering, what is the actual value of such a coin? Here's the moment that surprises many. Despite being minted just over 20 years ago, a 1998 D. Kennedy half dollar in pristine, near-perfect condition can command an impressive value, one that defies the casual expectation of a modern coin. This value is no small change. It reaches a remarkable $51,000. That's right, over $50,000 for a coin that most people might overlook in their change jar. This figure reflects more than just market demand. It symbolizes the coin's extraordinary journey, from an everyday piece of currency, mass-produced and circulated, to a rare, preserved gem coveted by collectors around the world. It demonstrates how the right combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance can elevate even the most modern coins to astounding levels of worth. So next time you encounter a Kennedy half dollar, especially one bearing that subtle Denver D. mint mark, take a closer look. Because beneath its familiar face lies a story of history, rarity, and value that might just surprise you. Moving on to the 2021 USA half dollar P coin, this piece holds more significance than you might imagine at first glance. It may appear as just another coin in the lineup, but when you really dive into its story, you'll see why it's captured the attention of collectors and coin enthusiasts alike. From its rich historical ties to its carefully crafted design and the unique circumstances of its production, this coin is a fascinating slice of modern numismatic history. To understand this coin's importance, we need to look back at the long and storied journey of the American half dollar. The half dollar has been a part of the United States monetary system for over 2 centuries. It began its life in the late 1700s as a sizable silver coin, significant in everyday commerce. Back then, half dollars were widely used in daily transactions, purchasing goods, paying wages, and more. Over time, the half dollar evolved alongside the nation, reflecting the changing face of America in its design. One of the most defining moments in half dollar history came in 1964, with the introduction of the Kennedy half dollar. This coin was born out of national tragedy, following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The nation mourned deeply, and the U.S. Mint responded by honoring Kennedy's memory with a striking portrait on the half dollar, replacing the earlier Franklin design. This move transformed the half dollar from a utilitarian piece of currency into a powerful symbol of remembrance and national identity. Fast forward to 2021, and the role of the half dollar has shifted dramatically. No longer circulating widely in everyday transactions, the half dollar now mainly serves collectors and special issues. This makes each coin minted in recent years something more, not just a piece of money but a collectible artifact, a story encapsulated in metal. The 2021 half dollar, produced at the Philadelphia Mint, hence the P mint mark, keeps Kennedy's iconic portrait on its obverse side, a constant through decades of half dollar production. The obverse shows JFK's profile with striking detail, featuring sharp contours, expressive lines, and a smooth feel that highlights the artistry involved in its creation. The Mint's advanced techniques in 2021 ensured that each coin bore a quality of strike that emphasized clarity and depth, giving the coin a modern yet timeless appeal. Flipping the coin reveals the presidential coat of arms on the reverse, a proud eagle clutching arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other. This imagery is a powerful symbol, balancing strength and peace, war and diplomacy. The design, though familiar, carries new levels of fine detail on the 2021 half dollar. The feathers of the eagle are finely etched, the arrows sharp, and the olive branch leaves delicate. It's craftsmanship that invites closer inspection and appreciation. What truly makes the 2021 half dollar piece stand out isn't just the design, though. It's the context in which it was produced. The early 2020s brought unprecedented challenges globally, with the COVID-19 pandemic affecting industries across the board, including coin production. The U.S. Mint experienced disruptions, adjustments in schedules, and shifts in priorities. As a result, production volumes changed, and some coins became more limited in number than usual. In 2021, the Philadelphia Mint struck a relatively small quantity of half dollars, focusing on producing coins primarily for collectors rather than circulation. This limited mintage makes the 2021 half dollar less common in hands today, increasing its interest among those who collect modern American coins. Collectors place a significant emphasis on condition. The best examples of this coin come in mint state, meaning the coin has never been circulated and remains in pristine condition. Mint state coins have sharp details, full luster, and no signs of wear, scratches, or handling marks. The 2021 half dollar benefits from advanced minting technology that helps create coins with these flawless surfaces, especially when preserved in special sets like the Mint's annual mint set or proof sets. Proof coins, in particular, are worth noting. They're struck with specially polished dies and planchets, often multiple times, producing a mirror-like finish and exceptional detail. The 2021 proof half dollar shows Kennedy's profile and the presidential eagle with almost photographic clarity and brilliance. These coins are designed to appeal to collectors and stand apart from typical circulation strikes. Why is all of this important? Because rarity and condition are the two key drivers in coin collecting value. A coin that is scarce, historically significant, and preserved in mint condition is often highly prized. The 2021 half dollar P fits this mold perfectly. It's a coin minted during an unusual time, with limited availability, and carries one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of America's most intriguing modern coins. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos on coins and collectibles. And if you have questions about any coins in your collection, drop a comment below. I'd love to explore their stories with you.